home that their grandfather built 100 years before. She's only been to the house once when she was approximately 6 years old. And she went because it was her great-grandfather's funeral. When she was there, she had very few memories of any of her relatives. She remembers playing with a little boy the same age as her named Timmy. They had a cute little rapport and they played while all the adults were doing the funeral stuff. They had a good time drawing pictures. Her aunts are named Eleanor and Lena. Eleanor is Eleanor Devine, and she is the housekeeper for the home. She's the younger of the two sisters. And then there's Lena Skarsveld. Lena has never married, and she is in a wheelchair due to arthritis. Brett goes to visit them and says, I remember being here when I was a little girl. I remember Timmy. And the aunts get very quiet, and they say, there's nobody in our family named Timmy. And she went, well, I have a really strong memory. They said, no, there was no Timmy. You're thinking of someone else. Okay, so she leaves. She runs into a friend. She was telling her about her adventure, and she recommends that she talk to Jane Lawless. She goes in and wants to hire Jane to see if she can find the answer. She said, I know I met a little boy named Timmy. Jane decides she's going to look into the matter. Well, Britt goes back another time. She goes to dinner at her aunt's house. And while she's there, Eleanor goes into the kitchen and Lena isn't out of her room. She spends a lot of time in her room drinking and smoking pot. She's kind of a wild lady. Britt remembers that when they were playing together, she and Timmy, that they drew pictures and he hid them in a secret place. Well, it was in the living room. It was under the baseboard. So she kind of goes over and she finds a picture drawn by Timmy. His name's right across the top.
Oh, my goodness.
She says,
there.
I told you there was a Timmy. Well, they kind of kick her out of the house. They don't want anything.
That's pretty harsh.
Yeah. So she hires Jane. The two women can't work because Lena's in a wheelchair and they're pretty much homebound. So they take in boarders. So Jane goes to their house and she's going to rent a room at the Skarsveld family home. And the first night she's there, she pulls into the driveway. One of the kids has written evil on the side of the Skarsveld
Is this
house.
a supernatural story or a mystery?
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
Apparently the neighbor kids think the place is haunted because Britt's father disappeared when he was very young. Pauline, who was Lena and Eleanor's sister, and Britt's mother committed suicide. Jane goes into the house and she's staying there and everything seems normal. Well, the garage catches on fire. So they're running out, putting the fire out. One of the firemen goes in to clean up and he steps into a hole. Well, they find a body under the garage. It's very well written. She really does an excellent job of writing this. It turns out that the body is
Timmy.
No,
Not Timmy.
not Timmy.
Oh, my.
It turns out that the body is Britt's father who disappeared.
Ah.
But there are many, many questions that are woven around and twisted, and you don't know what's what until the very end. And it's very satisfying. Jane Lawless, she has a partner, Cordelia, who's kind of flashy. She's a little flamboyant compared to Jane. Jane's very laid back and quiet. But then Jane had a relationship with a woman named Julia Martinson. Julia and she had a love affair for a few years, and they broke up. Cordelia's in love with Jane. Jane invited Julia to come and live with her as a friend because Julia developed cancer and a brain tumor behind her eye, and she is dying. There's no chance that she's going to live very long. Jane feels that she should take this woman in and live with her. Of course, there's a lot of tension between the two women. The relationship between Eleanor and Lena, they hate each other, but they're sisters and they're sort of stuck with each other. It's a complicated story, but when you read it, it all makes sense and it all flows very easily.
No, it doesn't sound like this is a beach read.
Ellen Hart is the author of over 30 crime novels in 2 different series. She's a 6-time winner of the Lambda Literary Award for Best Lesbian Mystery, a 3-time winner of the Minnesota Book Award for Best Popular Fiction, a 3-time winner of the Golden Crown Literary Award in several categories, a recipient of the Alice B. Medal, and was made an official GLBT literary saint at the Saints and Sinners Literary Festival in New Orleans in 2005. In 2010, she received the GCLS Trailblazer Award for Lifetime Achievement in the field of lesbian literature. In 2016, she was named a Grand Master by the Mystery Writers of America. The award represents the pinnacle of achievement in mystery writing and was established to acknowledge important contributions to this genre. For many years, Ellen has taught an introduction to writing the modern mystery through the Loft Literary Center. Ellen and her partner of over 40 years, Kathleen, live in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. And her website is www.ellenhart.com. It was a very good book. I would love to read more of these books when I get
Well, it sounds
time.
like you have plenty to choose from.
25 of them, and there's a new one that'll be coming out this year. So it looks like she puts out one a year.
Oh, very
And
good.
she has
It
2
sounds like a good
series.
series.
It is. It was very good. I was surprised. I found it as enjoyable as I did.
Trivia. Last week's question was, who was the true crime author who wrote for True Detective magazine under the pen name Andy Stack? Was it A. Diane Fanning, B. Patricia Cornwell, C. Anne Rule, or D. Margot Nash? The answer is C. Anne Rule. Anne Rule wrote for the True Detective magazine using the moniker Andy Stack starting in 1969. This week's question is, what is the mystery novel that has sold the most copies of all times? A. And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. B. The Big Sleep by Raymond Chandler. C. In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. And D. The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. Good luck.
Well, we hope you enjoyed our romantic suspense roundup. We always are open to reading any kind of mystery. If you can think of a category for us to choose a roundup, we'd love to hear your thoughts. And you can send to us at darkandstormybookclub@gmail.com.
Or visit our website at darkstormybc.com.
You can submit a short story through our email. You can hook up with us on all of our social media platforms. And you can listen to every single one of our episodes through that website.
All 150 of them.
Now 151.
And remember,
Life would be boring without a little mystery.
bye.
Bye.